I first want to make a distinguish feature between transformation and what we are doing on disruption. So from a transformation perspective, most often what's talked about is about the customer experience component of it. So that's something that we do as well. And we have our own solutions in the realm of looking at user experience. We have a survey product called DropThought, and we have something on Pulse, which is more about qualified lead generation. So we do quite a bit of work on user experience. But I think the fundamental crux of what is looked at in the banking industry is going beyond what a human mind can comprehend, and therefore use of technology to make those decisions more sensibly than what a human mind can comprehend, which is where AI and neural networks come in. So let me explain with an example of where we apply that. That could be, for instance, in the area of early warning system. So now a lot of the digital technologies that we've talked about today are all come together in a form of helping you make those credit decisions, which would be quite going beyond the realm of what a human mind can comprehend, which is where you get the data from, right? And a traditional bank looks at data from a realm of, let's say, a core banking or a loan origination system. And then you have the credit bureau data that we spoke about. So those are things that you would traditionally get. And then you have the big data source, which is essentially a lot of what you get in the realm of the news, media, etc., which is in today's world, especially in a country like India, very, very relevant, because most of what you're looking at in the realm of frauds or in the realm of stress in your loan book and the resultant NPA comes from the fact that these are data that is not into your core system. How do you use that data to do relevant pattern matching and make intelligent credit decisions is when the digital disruption truly happens. So giving an example of early warning again and taking you through the cycle, what is done is what data comes from a big data source, like are the promoters in the news for the wrong reasons? Is they subject to frequent management audits? Are there tax audits on a particular corporate customer? So marrying the traditional data with the big data results in data points that are more than 3,000 in number. So that's not something that a human mind can comprehend, which is when we use the power of AI to look at saying, can we pattern match and make intelligent credit decisions from those 3,000 data points which are relevant, but that's not something that a human would call a gut feel. But this is something that says, can I quantitatively tell you whether a corporate is indeed diverting funds? So we can say with 86% accuracy, they are indeed diverting funds, and that's based on quantitative data and not qualitative or subjective data. And then taking that through the realm of saying this is an intelligent credit decision, and then we could kind of say that stop making this loan or kind of not give the next tranche of the loan, and that is something that's going to be used for in a big way for looking at the biggest problem in our banking industry, which is the NPA situation. And that's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of one example. But there are so many where a lot of the disruptive technologies are made to use disruption in a more healthier way of banking, a more healthier way of looking at the industry as a whole.
When you are trying to sell your product, who do you approach? Do you go to the CIO or you go to the MD, CEO or business officer? Because you have to have a strategy of who to go and who's more powerful or who can influence and make things happen. So what would you be doing as
I think
when
from
you're
a perspective of a banker turned into a fintech CEO, I'll give you a perspective from both sides. So as of right now, as a seller of products, we do interact more with the business because I'm trying to sell risk products, right? So the buyer would be a CRO. The buyer would be somebody that's from a credit monitoring department. And they would go about and say, here's my business point or pain point. And there would be a solution that happens to be a technology solution to address that. So the buyer invariably is somebody from the business. And again, to me, I think I probably, from a perspective of who makes the decision that I need something is obviously the business. And I used to be with Stanchart before I moved to do this. And a classic example or case in point would be the head of consumer banking came up to me. I was running technology for the bank globally and said, we have a problem, Jaya. And the problem is that the average age of a consumer is 45 years compared to competition at 35 years. So we need to do something radically different to bridge that gap. So the problem is a business problem, but the solution is a technology one. In response to that, we came up with a suite of 12 products that ranged from something as simple as print your own credit cards to listening to customer complaints on social media to something radical, which was more looking at branch transformation in a large way. And that's the big spend item, but that essentially takes care of a complete digital transformation of your branch experience. So this problem is a business one and the solution is the technology one. And the buyer invariably is the business person that's ably guided by the technologist. I think from a perspective, I'll just give a statistic. Yeah. The statistics is that the second highest paid job today, as per the survey, is a CDO, after a CEO. It's not the CFO, it's not the CIO. The CDO is the second highest paid job as per, in US at least. So from a perspective, it's a techno-functional role, and that is the challenge of that. It does not, if you just know what you need from a business perspective, it's not enough. If you're a very good technologist, it's not enough. It's about what is needed for the business and how do you get the best technologies to make that work for you. And that is a hard skill if you do it the right way. But if you just think I know infrastructure or I know technology and move to that, you would lack the business knowledge. So it's a combination of both.